Liposuction is becoming increasingly popular for men. Joining us to discuss this morning, cosmetic surgeon Dr. Rastogi. Anoop, good morning.
Good morning, Kerri-Anne.
How much has it increased in the last few years for blokes?
Really quite phenomenally. I think guys are really becoming aware that it's not just an area for women, and that guys can have their bodies enhanced and their looks enhanced, and they choose to do that.
Compare, say, liposculpture and liposuction for women and men. Who gets a better result?
Actually, men get a brilliant result from a liposculpture. Basically, their skin is thicker, there's a lot more collagen and elastin content in the skin, and therefore, after a liposculpture, it contracts back very well. They don't also have to go through childbirth, and so they don't get the overstretching that many women go through. And so they're usually very, very good candidates for a liposculpture.
Well, what sort of age groups or what sort of guys are eligible?
Well, interesting. Liposculpture can be done at really any adult age group. The majority would be done between, say, 35 and 55, basically because there's a natural change in male hormones, and so testosterone levels drop, growth hormone levels drop.
So their bodies change as well?
Yeah, just like the middle age spread in women, there's a middle age spread in guys. They get breast development, so it's called gynecomastia. They get the beer gut that everybody knows about, and love handles, which lots of guys hate. And what's happening is, as men are travelling through their 30s and 40s, their family commitments increase, their work commitments increase. At the same time, their metabolism's slowing, and then they find that they're starting to develop a body that they never wanted and that they're finding hard to tackle. And of course, diet and exercise is the way to go. That's the thing that you do to get your body back. If that's not working for you, then you get to a point where a liposculpture becomes an intelligent option to reshape and refine your body and give you the motivation to keep it great once it's there.
Let's look at some of the before and after shots, and we'll get a better idea of what can be achieved.
Yes. Right, now this young gentleman, you can see he's not a big guy. If you look at his upper body, he's quite slim, but he has this big area of more or less puppy fat around he had it around his belly and around his love handles. Couldn't remove it, and he was in the male fashion industry, just couldn't wear the things that he wanted. You can see a liposculpture there, you can see how lean he is actually on the top part of his body now, sculpts him in beautifully, and now he can exercise, he can eat sensibly, but he can keep that figure now for decades. This is a guy in his 30s, and this is where we're starting to see it. Football player, fit, always conscious about what he ate and his exercise, but just starting to see those hormones changing. Love handles are starting to come.
So we're not talking about just pure laziness and just pulling on the cage just because you're not doing the right thing with your body.
There are some guys that are just like that, but there is a significant number of guys who start to struggle once they're pushing through their 30s and 40s. Same level of exercise, same dieting, metabolism's changing. Okay. There's no excuse for not dieting and exercising, but when it doesn't get you there, there are alternatives. Let's have a look at a couple more, actually.
From our 40s, yeah.
Now 40s again, and this is typically what we see. The young executives getting in there, getting home late from work, not eating sensibly, exercise routines dropping off. You can see some breast development there as well, and that's quite typical. As the fat stores start to increase, testosterone is actually converted to estrogen in the tissues, and so we start to see more breast development.
So here, on this chap, you actually took fat out of his breasts and his stomach.
And his love handles. If we roll on to the next one.
How many Ks would you take out?
Actually, it's not, in terms of kilos, this was about a 4-litre liposuction. That's about 3.5 kilograms, but it's two sizes in his clothes. If you look at it, this is the same gentleman from the back, and you can see just a complete change in his shape. And now at the gym, he can get muscle definition, he can fit into his Speedos in summer. It makes the world of difference.
And you mentioned into the 50s, and you just go, oh, well, guys may at that stage be letting themselves go. I mean, we've all got figure shapes. That doesn't matter how much you exercise.
Yes.
That thigh thing is going to be there, that love. It doesn't matter what you do. You can get almost anorexic and it's still going to be there.
Now, that's the point. There is an amount that you can do with diet and exercise.
He's sucking his stomach in on the one on the right. Come on.
No, he's got his arms up in both.
Because every time you ask, your bloke tries a shirt on, you go, let me have a look at that shirt on you. And the thing, they put their shoulders back and they suck their stomach in.
Yeah. Look at his love handles.
I'm not talking about anybody in particular now.
Yeah. No. When we look at guys as they travel through their 50s, there really is a big change in their figures, and and what you were saying earlier about there's an amount that we can do ourselves and we should do ourselves. we'll see, particularly, you know, when you're looking at women, and that first young photograph that we looked at, one can diet and exercise to such a degree that breast development's lost, collarbones are showing, face is looking gaunt, the thighs are still there, the buttock is still there. That's the time when a liposculpture is certainly something that one could consider.
We've got one more before and after into the 60s. So let's have a look at that. Now, what can be the dangers? We've seen some of the vivid pictures of people that's like a Hoover that goes in.
Yeah.
What are the dangers here?
Okay. Now, liposculpture is a procedure to do in healthy people. If you're a severe diabetic, if you have heart troubles, you should do procedures when you need to. Cosmetic procedures are elective procedures. One never takes risks with general health. So that's the first thing. If one is doing an excessively large liposculpture, there's a lot of volume change, and that means fluid balance change. And also the bigger somebody is getting, the less healthy they are. And so there gets a point where you say, look, this isn't something that we do.
Is this under general anaesthetic?
These can be done either under a general anaesthetic or under a twilight anaesthetic. In fact, sometimes they're done under a local anaesthetic.
And key recovery time and keys to remember after the...
Okay. Recovery time for the majority of these, they'd be back to work in 5 days.
Do you have to wear pressure bandages?
Yes, if they're having their tummy done, it's 5 days for the compression garment. If it's not their tummy, usually 10 days. In terms of the future after a liposculpture, one has always got to maintain that figure then. It's not a license to eat. This is I couldn't get my body where I wanted it, now I've gotten it, now I'm responsible for keeping it. So from that time onwards, it's about sensible eating and regular exercise and keep that great body.
We've got a lot of the information on the website, kerri-anne.com.au, if you'd like to have a look at that again. But valuable, and I've got to say, I didn't realise the blokes were getting into it as much as the women.
Very much so. November is the time to talk about it.
November, of course. Can they do chins as well?
Chin is a big area for guys. It's a place where men store a lot of fat. Very simple and straightforward to liposculpt.
Dr. Anoop Rastogi, thank you very much.
Pleasure, Kerri-Anne.